Hey everyone, welcome back to Yusuf Reacts, where we break down and review your favorite action-packed films. Today, we're diving into Mission Impossible 3, a movie that's got all the action, thrills, and suspense you'd expect from Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt. So, grab your popcorn and let's get into it. This movie, released in 2006, is the third installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, directed by none other than J. Abrams. It's the first time Abrams directs in the franchise. And let me tell you, he brings all the mystery and explosive intensity you'd expect. This time, Ethan Hunt is back stronger, smarter, and facing his most personal mission yet. The opening scene is nothing short of intense. We start with Ethan and Julia, his fiancée, in a life-or-death situation. Owen Davian, played by the incredible Philip Seymour Hoffman, has them captive. Right away, you can feel the stakes are high, and Ethan seems powerless, which is rare to see. It sets the tone for what's to come, a dangerous game of cat and mouse with Davian. Speaking of Davian, let's talk about the villain. Philip Seymour Hoffman gives one of the best performances as an antagonist in the entire series. His portrayal of Owen Davian is chilling, calm, collected, and absolutely ruthless. He's not your average over-the-top villain. Instead, he's cold and calculating, making him all the more terrifying. The plot takes us all over the globe, from Rome to Shanghai as Ethan and his team try to recover something called the Rabbit's Foot. But what's interesting is that this time, it's not just about stopping a global disaster. It's personal for Ethan. He's trying to protect Julia, who has been caught up in the crossfire of his double life. And let's not forget those insane action sequences like that helicopter chase through a wind farm and Ethan's daring leap off a skyscraper. What makes Mission Impossible 3 stand out is the emphasis on teamwork. We get a deeper look into Ethan's IMF team. Being Rames returns as Luther, and we meet new faces like Declan, played by Jonathan Rhys Meyers, and Zen, played by Maggie Q. They all have distinct roles, and their dynamic really gives that spy family feel. The gadgets, the disguises, the teamwork, it all brings that classic Mission Impossible vibe. And let's not forget the romance element. This time, we see Ethan trying to balance his dangerous career with his love life. His fiancée Julia, played by Michelle Monaghan, has no idea what Ethan actually does. It adds a lot of emotional weight to the story, especially when Julia is thrown into the chaos. Their relationship makes us root for Ethan beyond just saving the world. He's got someone he loves, and it makes everything more intense. The climax is classic Ethan Hunt: high stakes, intense combat, and clever tactics. The final showdown between Ethan and Davian is brutal and raw, with Ethan desperately trying to protect Julia while also facing off against one of the most formidable villains in the series. And that adrenaline-pumping moment when Julia has to step up and save Ethan? Absolute ring. Impatient Ethan Hunt comes into conflict with a dangerous and sadistic arms dealer who threatens his life and his fiancée in response. A man named Owen Davian kills an IMF agent that was sent undercover by the legendary Ethan Hunt, who has retired from combat missions. Hunt now has a fiancée, Julia, who believes that he works for the traffic department, when he really trains younger IMF agents to go into combat. He is assigned to his last mission. His mission, should he choose to accept it, is to capture Davian, who is selling a toxic weapon called the Rabbit's Foot. But Davian is reckless, cruel, and deadly. He promises Hunt that he will find Julia, hurt her, and Ethan will be too dead to help her. The mission is no more different to others. It's dangerous, smart, and impossible. But now it's personal. The third entry in Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible film series involves Super Impossible Mission Force's IMF agent Ethan Hunt Cruise being forced back into the field just when he was planning on marrying his girlfriend, Julia Michelle Monaghan. The agency asks Hunt to save an operative, Carrie Russell, he trained after weapons dealer Owen Davian. Philip Seymour Hoffman kidnaps her. With the help of his field team played by Being Rames, Jonathan Rhys Meyers, and Maggie Q, Hunt achieves his goal. but becomes involved in a web of double crosses that leave him wondering if he can trust his superiors Billy Crudup and Lawrence Fishburne. Eventually Davian threatens Julia's life in order to get away with his evil plan. Super spy Ethan Hunt has retired from active duty to train new IMF agents. But he is called back into action to confront the toughest villain he's ever faced, Owen Davian, an international weapons and information provider with no remorse and no conscience. Hunt assembles his team, his old friend Luther Strickle, transportation expert Declan, and background operative Zen. They are to rescue one of his very own trainees, Lindsay, who was kidnapped while on a surveillance detail of Davian. It soon becomes evident that Davian is well protected, well connected, and downright malicious. This forces Hunt to extend his journey back into the field in order to rescue his fiancée, Julia, and uncover IMF double agents in the process. While in his engagement party with Dr. Julia, the IMF agent, Ethan Hunt, is invited to a rescue mission of his former protege. Agent Lindsay Ferris was trained by him but has been kidnapped by the evil dealer Owen Davian. Ethan accepts the assignment and rescues Lindsay with his team, but she is killed by a bomb that has been implanted in her head. Ethan finds that Owen will be in the Vatican and he joins his group to abduct him. They succeeded in their mission. But back in USA they are betrayed. Owen is released by his team and he abducts Julia, bringing her to Shanghai. Owen contacts Ethan and forces him to steal a powerful weapon in order to save the life of Julia. Ethan Hunt Tom Cruise has retired from active field work for the Impossible Missions Force IMF, and instead trains new recruits while settling down with his fiancée Julia Meade Michelle Monaghan, a nurse at a local hospital who is unaware of Ethan's past. Ethan is approached by fellow IMF agent John Musgrave Billy Crudup about a mission for him. Rescue one of Ethan's protégés, Lindsay Ferris Carrie Russell, who was captured while investigating arms dealer Owen Davian Philip Seymour Hoffman. Musgrave has already prepared a team for Ethan, consisting of Declan Gormley Jonathan Rhys Myers, Zenley Maggie Q, and his old partner Luther Stickle being Reims, in Berlin, Germany. The team raids the warehouse where Lindsay is kept and collects 2 computer laptops during their escape. As they flee on a helicopter, Ethan discovers a micro-explosive implanted in Lindsay's head. Before Ethan can use a defibrillator to disable the device, it kills her. Ethan and Musgrave are reprimanded by IMF Director Theodore Brassel Lawrence Fishburne. Ethan learns that Lindsay mailed him a postcard before her capture and discovers a magnetic microdot under the stamp. IMF technician Benji Dunn Simon Pegg recovers enough from the damaged laptops to determine that Davian will be in Vatican City to obtain a mysterious object called the Rabbit's Foot. Ethan plans the mission to capture Davian without seeking Brassel's or Musgrave's approval. Before leaving, he and Julia have an impromptu wedding at the hospital's chapel. The team successfully infiltrates Vatican City and captures Davian. On the flight back to the United States, Davian threatens to kill Ethan and his loved ones. Ethan then threatens to drop Davian out of the plane, during which Davian overhears Luther calling Ethan by his first name. After landing, Ethan learns that the microdot contains a video of Lindsay warning that she believes Brassel is working with Davian. Then the convoy taking Davian across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel is suddenly attacked by organized armed forces seemingly of US military, and Davian escapes. Ethan worries for Julia's safety and races to the hospital, arriving to find that she already has been taken. Davian calls Ethan to give him 48 hours to recover the Rabbit's Foot for Julia's life. But then Ethan is captured by IMF for his rogue actions. Musgrave takes part in Ethan's interrogation, but discreetly mouths instructions for Ethan to lip read about Shanghai, China, where the Rabbit's Foot is located, and provides him with the means to escape IMF. Ethan and his team raid the building where the Rabbit's Foot is secured and inform Davian that they have the Rabbit's Foot. Ethan goes to deliver the Rabbit's Foot alone and is forced to take a tranquilizer. While sedated, a micro-explosive is implanted in his head. Ethan awakens to find Davian holding Julia at gunpoint. Despite Ethan asserting that he brought the real Rabbit's Foot, Davian kills Julia and leaves. Musgrave then arrives and explains to Ethan that Julia was Davian's head of security Bahar Sumit. In a mask, the execution carried out for failing to protect Davian in Vatican City. And the mask was used in order to force Ethan to confirm the authenticity of the rabbit's foot and that Julia is alive. Musgrave reveals himself as the mole, having arranged for Davian to acquire the rabbit's foot to sell to terrorist groups. After which IMF would have reason to launch a preemptive strike. Musgrave then asks Ethan about the microdot Lindsay sent. Musgrave dials his phone for Ethan to hear Julia's voice. Ethan then bites on Musgrave's hand and knocks him unconscious, ultimately freeing himself and stealing Musgrave's phone, using it to track down the location of Musgrave's last call. Ethan finds Davian there and pushes him into the path of a truck, but not before Davian triggers the micro-explosive. Freeing Julia, he instructs her to electrocute him in order to deactivate the explosive, and then revive him. He also instructs her in using a gun for her protection. While attempting to revive Ethan, Julia shoots and kills Musgrave. Julia successfully revives Ethan, and he explains his true IMF career to her as they leave. Brassel congratulates Ethan as he leaves for his honeymoon with Julia. Ethan isn't sure if he will return to the IMF. Brassel promises that he will tell Ethan what the rabbit's foot is if Ethan will promise to return. Ethan smiles and walks off with Julia. Overall, Mission Impossible 3 is a fantastic blend of action, suspense, and emotion. Abrams brought in a new level of storytelling, focusing more on Ethan's personal life, which was a refreshing angle. The action sequences are spectacular, as always, and Tom Cruise proves yet again why he's one of the best action stars in the game. Plus, the villain is unforgettable. Fon's performance adds a depth that elevates the entire film. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible 3, it's definitely worth a watch whether you're a fan of the series or just love a good action thriller. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite scene was, or if you think Owen Davian is the best villain of the franchise. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown and subscribe for more movie reviews and recaps. Until next time, this is Lois, signing off. Stay mission ready.